Good evening, everyone. We have a regular meeting here of the City of Cape May City Council. We are here in the Cape May City Hall Auditorium. Today is Wednesday, February 19th, 2025. The time is now 5 p.m. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Under the Open Public Meetings Law, notice of this meeting was sent to the Cape May County Herald and the Press of Atlantic City, and a copy of the agenda was delivered to each member of City Council, posted on the city website and the City Hall Bulletin Board. Notice is hereby provided that council meetings are audio recorded and/or video streamed live. Live video streams are posted to the Cape May City website. The City of Cape May is not responsible if audio recording or live video streaming of a meeting is unavailable. Roll call. Councilmember Baldwin?
Here.
Councilmember Bodnar?
Here.
Deputy Mayor McDade?
Here.
Councilmember Meyer is absent. Mayor Mullock?
Here.
We have Substitute Solicitor Paul Baldini is present. City Manager Dietrich?
Here.
Deputy Manager Riggs?
Here.
And Deputy Clerk Turner?
Here.
And Council, I believe there may be one deletion this evening. Is that correct? Believe it's going to be 9202-2025, resolution authorizing a change order to the contract for the audio upgrade for bid for Convention Hall to visual sounding.
We were going to remove it for tonight? Yeah.
That is what I heard.
Yes.
If that is not the case, yes.
Yes, okay.
So would we have a motion to remove?
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
And with the idea that we would bring this back after just some
Yeah.
discussion. Yeah. Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor McDade?
Here. Yes, sorry.
No worries. Councilmember Bodnar?
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin?
Yes.
Mayor Mullock?
Yes.
Any other additions or deletions this evening?
Anything, council? No? Okay.
Okay.
On the updates, old business, city manager?
Thank you. I just wanted to say, a lot of our construction projects, even though we're still having some cold weather, they've been moving along pretty well. The Nature Trail project continues and is on schedule, hoping to have that opened up before the summer season. We had a pre-construction conference for the next phase of Lafayette Street Park. Contractor seems like he'll be able to start mid-March. I'll probably say 75 to 90% of the park will be done by July. The only thing that might hold up is there's 3 pavilions in the park area that he's constructing. They have like a 14 to 16 week lead time. So they were looking to get those ordered this week or next week, and then that'll really just be the final piece of the puzzle. But if they get them, they'll have them installed. But they're looking like before July that park portion, which is the dog park, bocce courts, and the open space area, as well as a sidewalk connection from Lafayette Street Park back to the nature trails. Ohio Avenue construction's moving along. They're moving on the water main installation and moving that along, so that project is on schedule, and that'll be opened up well before the summer season starts. So construction projects are moving along pretty well.
That's great.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. And it has been cold, so we appreciate those folks working out there in the cold. City Solicitor.
Yes, I do want to mention your resolution 97-0.
Paul. Sorry, if you could, thank you.
A little louder? Okay. It's an MOU between your police department and Ascenda. It's paid for by the state. It's really a great program. To see you guys move in that direction is really the future of where law enforcement would love to go, and that is not having to arrest everybody, but get people into the services and help that they need. And to get the state finally putting some money up and you guys getting your share of it, that's a great idea.
That's great.
For what it's worth.
Do you want to update us on any other legal matters in the city of Cape May tonight?
That was it.
No. Thank you very much for coming tonight.
It's my pleasure.
I guess we could wish best of luck to our city solicitor, Chris Gillen-Schwartz, who's hopefully having a baby sometime soon. And
We
we'll see.
absolutely do wish him the best, and I'm sure he's enjoying his time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Maybe not his wife, but
No. Thank you. City Council, any updates or old business? No?
Actually, I do. I have an update from the Environmental Commission, actually on a couple different matters. One on the Columbia Capstone project and also on the water audit. So first, I just want to, I guess, discuss a little bit about the Columbia Capstone project. I think we've all fielded some questions about that. And for people that just, because it is something different, something unique, the bottom line is it's a project that is going to provide and designed to provide the city with information regarding water consumption and water need as we move forward with the design of a water desalination plant. The information that is developed through the Capstone project is they're going to prepare a complete presentation, they're going to do their research, they're going to do their analysis, they're going to provide that information to the city, and in turn, we can provide that information to the people who are actually designing the desalination plant. So they're not designing a desalination plant, but they're going to provide information, particularly on use and need regarding water. So I know I've received some questions about who are the people that are actually involved in the project out of Columbia. And although it's under the umbrella of Columbia University, it consists of the group of people who are working on this project there are faculty, but also people who have been involved and worked in urban planning and in nuclear engineering as well. And they've been involved in other projects in other cities. For instance, I think New York, Los Angeles, Ithaca, New York are just 3 of the cities. I think there's some others as well that they've been involved in those projects. There's a number of positives of this project for the city. In addition to the information that we get from these skilled and knowledgeable individuals, it's costing the city nothing for us to get this information that we can use. As far as the status of where the project stands, I know Justin and Paul have met with the faculty and the students involved in the project. Rob Kaminsky has been involved as well. Joe from the water plant has also been involved on that, involved in meetings. And I know I've been involved in at least one of those calls. To this point, all I could say is I think these have been very, very productive conversations to the point where they have divided this, I guess their tasks into 4 groups. They're focusing on looking at finance, funding of the project. I know we've discussed funding of the desalination plant, but they're going to be looking at this from their point of view, including looking at other grant possibilities that may exist for funding. Plant operations, they're going to be looking at the existing plant regarding longevity of the existing plant, as well as when we do the design of the new plant, what would be the best practices for that new plant. Also, stakeholder engagement. Part of that is regarding demand reduction and educating people regarding what we're doing with water, uses of water. And the last area is sustainability regarding having quality drinking water, hydrology, ecosystem services, and aquifer protection. So they're looking at 4 key areas regarding their research. So that brings me to just the other point, and that's the water audit, which is another area that I think we've all have received some questions regarding the water audit. So first and foremost, I would say this, that we are actively looking for people to participate in the water audit. The water audit fits in with the Capstone project and fits in with this research that will be handed over to the city, because that the water audit is going to provide information, is designed to provide information on demand and water habits. So, in other words, how are we using water individually? So if you had a chance to look at the audit online, it does look like at initial first blush that it may be lengthy, but you'll see that most of the questions are yes or no questions and just talk about having you just answer what your habits are as far as using water. The reason we're looking at this now, the question has come up as far as like, why don't we do this in the springtime when there's more usage of water, is that the Capstone project is taking place right now. So if we gather information in the spring, it's not going to be helpful for the project. So they've said that, Columbia has said that the information that is provided to them now will be valuable for them in the project. So I mentioned about, doing a water audit, would ask that residents, homeowners participate in the audit. You can find a copy of the audit on the city website. Look under the Cape May City site, boards and commissions, click the Environmental Commission, and there's a water audit button there. And we'll be grateful, and it will help the city, and will help the people that are designing the desalination plant.
That's great. Thank you very much. It's all very exciting. Okay. Anything else, council? Okay. On to the Washington Street Mall Business Improvement District proposed 2025 budget.
Yes, council, to start with, we have Resolution 9002-2025, a resolution authorizing the reading of the 2025 Annual Business Improvement District budget by title only.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And just for the public's notice, we were presented this at the last council meeting. Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor McDade?
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar?
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
Yes.
And Mayor, there is a public hearing on that budget tonight, this evening.
Okay. Is anyone here wishing to speak on the Business Improvement District budget, 2025 budget? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion on 9102-2025?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Questions or comments? Roll call?
And just for the record, that is a resolution adopting the Washington Street Mall Management Company Business
Sorry.
Improvement District annual budget for 2025.
Sorry about that.
No worries. Deputy Mayor McDade?
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin?
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
Yes.
All right. Moving on to ordinances for introduction this evening, council. We have 552-2025, ordinance amending Chapter 7 of the Cape May City Code regarding metered parking zones and fees.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments, council? Roll call?
Deputy Mayor McDade?
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar?
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
Yes.
553-2025, a bond ordinance providing for various improvements to city-owned buildings and grounds by and in the city of Cape May, in the county of Cape May, state of New Jersey, appropriating $2,200,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $2,095,238 bonds or notes of the city to finance part of the cost thereof.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
So this was given as a public presentation at the last meeting by MAC, but given that it's a little different than some of the things that we've done in the past, we have a second reading at the next, not the next meeting, but
March 18th.
thank you, March 18th. But I'd like to open it up for public comment. If anyone wishes to speak on this ordinance, we'd be happy to hear from you at this time. Mr. Roush?
There are just some questions, and I've talked with our city manager. As I understand it, I got to get my leg here. the $2.2 million, that's going to fund the improvements for MAC. And it's going to be done, as I now understand, under a 10-year loan program as opposed to 20 years. The bonds will show 20 years, but the payout, or the payback, if you will, is
Correct.
10 years. And that was not clear in the information that we received. And I don't know, Paul, if you want to comment further on that?
Well, I mean, the bond is required under statute to be, because of the useful life of the improvements, to have a 20-year life. So that's how the bond was set up. But that was part of the letter of intent and agreement that council, really, that's what council really wanted, a 10-year payback. And I think MAC was agreeable to that, and that worked within their program too. So that'll be part of the final agreement that we'll have as we move forward.
Thank you. And it's also my understanding that the costs associated with what I'll call the partnership in this project, that part of it, which would normally be associated with MAC, they will be paying that in some form of reimbursement back to the city. So the taxpayer, frankly, won't be funding any of their costs. It's also my understanding that when this project goes through, there is the opportunity that it be done without paying union wage rates. That'll be under a different program. I don't know whether that's true or not. I understand that is a possibility because it's being done by MAC.
Now, because it's still a public facility, I'm pretty sure they still pay prevailing wages on their projects.
That would be a shame because there'd be the possibility of doing it for considerably less money. Since there'll be a number of different contractors, maybe there'll be the opportunity to do it with just paying prevailing wages, or you're saying no?
They're most likely, I mean, their current projects that they do, they pay prevailing wages on their projects. So yeah, there's no savings of money on the labor costs there.
The process, as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, MAC will be designing, putting it out on bid. The city will be reviewing it. However, this is a project done by MAC with basically oversight from the sideline by the city. Is that correct?
Yes.
Will there be a project manager or a management company that will be overseeing the project?
MAC has professional staff. Their architect of record will oversee the project, similar as if it was a city project and we have our architect reviewing the project. So yeah, they have professional staff reviewing and inspecting the project. And then when they have built, when they request reimbursement, we'll review that. And we'll also, once we start the process, we'll sit in on some of the project meetings, work meetings with the contractor, just to keep an eye on the project from the city standpoint.
And I assume also that the city will be following the normal inspections that they would do on any project, along with a CO at the end, so that we'll know that all the work that is being done there is being done in accordance with our regulations.
MAC, on all the different projects that they've gotten in the past, and they will continue to receive the appropriate construction permits.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else on, sure. Speaking of MAC?
Jody Allison, Jane Cape May Mac. I can be a little more specific. The projects that the city bond would match the funding for would be New Jersey Historic Trust funds. So essentially what the Historic Trust, about prevailing wage, there's a general understanding that public projects have prevailing wage. And if you're using public funding through Garden State Preservation Act funding, then obviously you're going to have that. But when it comes to the project and project management, the trust would really be doing the heavy lift on behalf of the city. Because when we do these capital projects, we front the money. MAC fronts the money. And then we do what are called C1s and C2s, which are reimbursement packages to the Historic Trust. Once the Historic Trust signs off on them and says, yes, you did everything that you said according to what our regulations are, they then reimburse us. What we've discussed with the city would be is that we would use the same practice with the city. So if the Historic Trust is signing off on it, they've said that we've done everything, due diligence and everything that we said we were going to do up front.
And having worked with them on the library, I mean, they're rigorous. I mean, it's not
Yes.
signing a,
I just got reappointed to the Historic Trust, so even though I won't be able to vote on our projects, I'll be sitting at the table, so. All
great.
right, thank you.
Thank you, Jody. Anyone else on this ordinance? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second already, right?
We do.
Any questions or comments, council? I would only add, and I know Mr. Roush publicly endorsed this and has very good questions, and rightfully said max expenses. I would only add for the public, and I know you know this, Jules, that I'd kind of argue that a lot of them are our expenses too, and I know you know this, but the capital expenditures are being spent on buildings that the city owns, which is one of the reasons that I really feel this is such a win-win for the town. We're getting capital expenditures done that you may argue we would be on the hook for otherwise anyway, but we have somebody who's been a great partner who's willing to basically pay for it, so we appreciate it. With that, any other questions or comments, council? Roll call?
Deputy Mayor McDade?
Yes.
Excuse me. Councilmember Bodnar?
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to ordinances for second reading and consideration for adoption. We have ordinance 549-2025, an ordinance amending Chapter 247 of the Cape May City Code regarding Fire Prevention Bureau fees and regulations.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a public hearing on this ordinance.
We do, Mayor.
Is anyone here wishing to speak on ordinance 549? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments, council? Roll call?
Deputy Mayor McDade?
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar?
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
Yes.
Next, we have 550-2025, an ordinance amending Chapter 7 of the Cape May City Code regarding reserved on-street handicap parking with a public hearing as well, Mayor.
Does anyone here wishing to speak on ordinance 550? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Deputy Mayor McDade?
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar?
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
Yes. I hope I didn't skip anyone's questions or comments there, sorry.
That was a maintenance one, anyway. Next, we have 551-2025, an ordinance amending the city code to provide for control of plastic dust and contaminants with a public hearing, Mayor.
Is anyone here wishing to speak on ordinance 551?
Jules Roush, 1010 New York Avenue. Just a comment about this. We've seen a number of new homes being built now with retaining walls. And almost all of these bigger homes all have a lot of paving. There's an awful lot of cutting of the blocks and the concrete blocks. And they actually throw up clouds of material. We've just gone through 3 years next to us with that particular event. And I think it's imperative, frankly, that something be done. There's been a new house built not too far away from where we live, and they did all the cutting in the street. Well, it was red brick. And there was all that dust and material that a lot of it ended up in our sewer system. So I think the control of it, and I frankly don't know how they're going to control the dust. But a lot of this material, frankly, has fiberglass in it because it gives a lot of extra strength to the concrete. that airborne material is extremely hazardous to your health. So I think enforcing this regulation is the key. It's not necessarily having it on the books. And I guess my only question is, who's going to enforce it? Is that
Code enforcement, I mean, building inspector, and frankly, it's not going to be easy, to be honest with you. But I think education is definitely got to be part of this for the contractors. But certainly, what we talked about a little bit was if a building inspector is going around town and they're seeing people cutting PVC, for folks who don't know what we're talking about, but, typically not on historic homes, but on other homes, a lot of the materials these days, you're talking about like a hardy board, it's a cement board, planking, clapboard, or decking.
Decking.
Trex deck, or
Right.
a lot of the trim board is a PVC, AZAC is one of the product names, but in any event, those are a lot of the materials, and, if you're out here just chopping and not using any dust collection, and what they do for the most part is simply a shop vac on the saw. There's better options out there, like Fez Tool is a German company that a lot of the painters use, that is a really good dust collection. But frankly, it's for the health of the person cutting whatever that material is. I mean, if you read the label on a piece of hardy board, it says dust-borne chemicals from cutting this will cause cancer,
Yeah, there's no question. It's a serious issue. The biggest issue, I think, is it doesn't particularly define in the ordinance that it includes masonry materials. But can I assume that they are included? Because it talks about contaminants.
Can you assume what, I'm sorry?
What materials?
The ordinance does not talk specifically about masonry products.
Oh, masonry. I don't know that we
doesn't.
considered that. Well, I mean, I don't think that
I don't
was
think
right
I would say it's not included in
in
this
this.
ordinance.
Right, it's
Because
not.
it says plastic contaminants, so it further, within the language, it says plastic contaminants.
It does mention cement hardy board. But that's,
But not anything with concrete blocks, that's not been part of this particular.
Is there any reason why that cannot be added?
Well, partially because the saws for cutting cement board and AZAC and stuff like that, they're using saws that can have dust collection on them. Masonry using are larger, I'll say, chainsaw type saws where there is no dust collection available for that type of saw traditionally.
I mean, when you watch the folks doing the road out here, they're using a
Yeah.
big saw, and I mean, I agree, it's going everywhere, but I don't think there's a way currently to mitigate that.
Yeah, to contain it.
All right, I call
But
that,
let me say this, want to continue this dialogue. I mean, if you, this is certainly an ordinance that we can update in the future, and
Should something change and something come on the market that addresses that, or another way that we find that it could be done?
I've seen it where they actually build a small container so that the cutting is done and the residual materials stay within a confined area.
Right. Might be something we can look into, but not certainly something that's in this current ordinance. But to your point on, and something I mentioned when we first introduced this needs to be added to the contractor checklist that the construction, that is done when everyone gets a permit. And there should be some, signs put up downstairs saying new ordinance, with regard to that as part of the initial, education in the construction office. So we'll make sure that it's added to the contractor checklist.
Thank you.
anyone else on ordinance 551? Seeing none, we can close public comment. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments, council? Roll call?
Deputy Mayor McDade?
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar?
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
Yes.
All right, next we have the public portion on the resolutions only, Mayor.
Do we have anyone wishing to speak on the resolutions only this evening? Please come to the microphone, state your name and address.
Stacy Shan, 928 Columbia. My question has to do with Resolution 9302. It's the Promenade Award that was done. Can I just ask for clarification on what's included in that project and what's going to be done with that bid?
Just the plans are available online, so you're more than
Well,
happy.
I know there's different bids are going out, so I'm just asking for this specific bid, what
Yeah,
is,
that-
are they going to
And I'll
do?
make sure that the plans, I don't know if the final plans are up there, but I know the conceptual plans are up there. So it's going to be the rehabilitation of the concrete promenade face, I'm going to say, on the beach side, the timber rehabilitation on the Beach Avenue side, installation of fiber optic, conduit for fiber optic and electrical service along the promenade, resurfacing of the promenade, I'll say that reflective coating surfacing that would go over the asphalt surface along the promenade, the removal of all benches and trash receptacles and installing new trash receptacles. The project includes installation of the new benches. However, you will see in an upcoming agenda, we're going to purchase the benches separately just because we can get them cheaper on state contract and not have to pay the contractor markup. But the contractor will be putting the benches together and then reinstalling them. The work will also include the redecking of the timber deck around the convention hall.
So just clarification then. So from, say, Convention Hall south,
No, from Mattis, I would say from the end of the promenade, Kiwanis to Cove. All
Okay.
of the entire promenade will be rehabilitated.
okay, well, when you said the wood,
Wood is the deck around the convention hall.
well, oh, okay, because I thought maybe it was the wood that went from, say, Madison to Poverty, but you're not doing them?
No.
No.
No,
No.
okay. So it's just the other way, and that's going to be, when you say wood, because it's all, right now, from Mattis, say, Kiwanis, south, the outside wall is all concrete, so that's going to be redone, the concrete
Correct.
part of it.
Yes.
And then the wood part, you said, is going to be around Convention Hall.
On the surfacing, though there is some
Oh,
wood.
the surfacing.
I think
so-
The deck.
I think you're talking about two different things.
The
The
deck.
decking around
The
Convention
decking.
Hall, the
The-
wood
the
decking.
timber, the timber
Oh, the wood
bulkhead.
decking. Okay, I'm
Yes.
sorry, I'm just,
Yeah, the
So the
timber
wood-
bulkhead, in areas on the Beach Avenue side of I'll say
Like the rusted
Revetment.
nail.
Yeah, down there.
that will be.
You know where it becomes wood
Rehabilitated.
okay, so down
again?
that part, okay. I didn't know what part, because I know there's a wooden bulkhead on the inside going to the beach.
Yes,
And that's why I was wondering if that
At
was
this
going to
point,
be-
that is not being rehabilitated.
That's, so it's just that, and then you're going to replace, what about the benches that are dedicated? How's that going to
All
work?
the benches will be removed, and new benches will be installed.
And will they be dedicated still, or are they going to be new dedication?
We have to talk about it.
We'll discuss how that program will be rolled out.
Okay, then my second question is, you mentioned the conduit, is because you're putting in new arches there?
No?
Okay, I didn't know what the
No,
conduit was for.
there's lighting that's along there, and we want to make sure that we want to try to provide for future electric so that we can remove those overhead lights that are on, I'll say, wooden telephone poles, style
Okay.
poles, and have those removed.
Okay. So are we increasing the height of that at all?
No.
No? Okay. So my other question has to do with the project 9702 with Ascendia and behavioral health. Is that person going to be coming from courthouse down to support the police? I mean, my question is, how's this plan going to work? Because it seemed like there's a lot of details there, and I wasn't sure, the police are going to be calling this person down, where they're going to be housed, and.
Well, I mean, normally, my experience with this type of scenario is that when the police arrive at a scene and believe that they have someone who might be in emotional or mental distress and needs assistance, there's someone who is available, via the phone. They call them first.
Well, that's not what it says, though.
No, I was
Okay.
going to go one step further and say that in most cases, they will be transported down here. I think I read somewhere in the contract that the police will be picking the person up, bringing them down. I mean, in a county like this, to have this kind of service is tremendous.
Well, I'm just asking for more of details on how it's going to work out.
Yeah.
Because every second counts, and if you're getting this person from,
They're not going to be locally here. You wouldn't be able to support those kind of resources on a full-time basis. And for
Right.
the most part, generally, these kind of situations it is a centrally cored, service. In the city of Philadelphia, I can tell you, Stacy, there was a crisis center at Hahnemann Hospital. So, back in the 80s, every patient that needed to be evaluated for a psych was brought to one hospital throughout the city of Philadelphia. So it's not an uncommon practice for it to sort of be a centralized and then outsourced and called upon, and then,
yeah, because I saw also with billing there, it's going to go through the billing of the insurance company of the person, I guess, and then the city would pick up the rest?
I didn't see that detail, so I can't
Okay.
speak to that, so.
The city wouldn't be paying for it, it'd be paid through the state.
Okay, that's not really what I was reading when I read it. I didn't read all
I
that.
think
That's why I was
that's-
just clarifying that.
And I think that's why Mr. Baldini in the beginning discussed that.
Okay, because it really
aspect.
wasn't clear in the resolution. It
I know.
kind of sounded like the city was paying for it.
No, it's,
Okay. And my other question has to do with, again, because a lot of projects are here, that automated flood alert app. I noticed
Yes.
that a lot about another township, Cumberland Township, but that is Cape May County?
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And it will be, but we still will have our horns for.
Yeah,
right,
this
just an
is
extra-
just a supplemental product to help residents and visitors utilize a different system to be able to get a notification on their phone of future flooding.
Excellent. My last question has to do with the Harborview Park project. The plans, I guess, are online. Was there a resolution ever done to approve that project?
Which project again?
The Harborview Park project?
Yes.
There was, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I know you presented it, but I didn't know they were ever voted on. I was just asking if there was a
Yeah.
resolution voted on it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, there was a resolution to authorize the submittal to the county for
County.
the project.
Open space.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else this evening on resolutions on the agenda? Seeing none, we can close public comment.
Council, is there anything you'd like to remove from the consent agenda this evening?
Anything you'd like to remove, council? No?
92 has already been removed, just
Okay.
a reminder.
Can I have a motion on the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second? Roll call?
Deputy Mayor McDade?
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar?
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick? It's
Yes.
tough having the two Bs next to each other, by the way. Give me a couple months, it'll be flowing. Okay, on to new business,
New
Mayor?
business? Mr. Baldini, any new business? No, sir. No, okay. City manager?
No, I'm going to keep it short this evening, thank you.
Okay. City clerk?
Briefly, yes. I wanted to give the public the heads up that we are looking to do electronic distribution of mercantile renewals this year. So instead of getting a physical renewal application mailed to your mailing address, you will be getting emailed a renewal application, your invoice, and a cover letter with instructions. So that's going to save, a lot of paper, a lot of ink, a lot of postage, and a lot of headache for my office. So keep an eye out in your emails this year for your electronic renewals and a cover page. We also are hoping to offer the option of paying electronically, paying online via credit card with a service fee if you're interested in doing that, as a convenience to the user. If not, we can go ahead and take a good old check and all the paperwork into my office as normal. So we're still navigating that with SDL, but I'm hopeful that it's going to be ready to go by March. So bear with us, and I will probably have more to report on that at the next meeting, hopefully. But I just wanted to spread the word a bit. I'm going to try to send out a test email before the invoices go, so just keep an eye out in your emails, okay? Any questions, give a call. And that's it, Mayor.
Great. City council members, I'm trying to remember the order myself now. Councilwoman Baldwin?
I just have one thing. We have an exciting exhibit coming to Cape May, to the Wildwood Aviation Museum. It's going to be the longest yarn. It's a wall display which depicts a lot of events that happen in history. One of the scenes depicting World War II veteran Harry Kolkowitz, which is really important because he is, of course, the Mad Batter owner, at that point, and he also served. The exhibit is now going through France, traveling through Europe. It will be here for the spring and summer. But this weekend on Saturday, there's going to be a fundraiser on the 22nd from 3 to 7 in the VFW. So if anybody could make it, that would be wonderful.
That's great.
All, Mayor. Thank you.
Great. Councilman Bodnar?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Deputy Mayor?
I just want to acknowledge the open space for the county for their approval on the Harbor View Park. It's been a very productive relationship in discussing this project with them. They very much appreciate it and support it, our idea and concept there. And it's been great working with Vince Orlando and his team. So I'm really excited that we've gotten the funding and they're working on the construction documents. And we're hoping that this is going to kick off by the fall. And it's just really going to be a beautiful space, very tranquil, passive. It's interesting to see how many people use that space all year round. A lot of certainly residents and contractors, local and others coming in. Just, you can drive past there at any given time of the year and there are people parked down there. So looking forward to that and really excited that we're moving forward. So just want to, and on the community center, I just want to say a thank you to everyone and their support coming from everyone there who's been attending the classes. Classes are getting more and more full each and every time.
Great.
And so it's really been very well received, and people are really excited about the space and really looking forward to the other programs that we're going to be putting in there. So, thanks.
That's great. And I'll just echo those, our thanks to the County Open Space Board, and especially Commissioner Barr really was very complimentary of it. And so I think that's just be a wonderful project. And obviously, we appreciate their funding and help in doing that project. The recommendations that the Open Space Board and especially our local HPC made, I think, really made the project better. And I think passive, non-recreational, but very beautiful place to sit, read a book, and enjoy the natural beauty of the harbor, which, as many of you know, you don't get to recognize as much as we'd like to. Looking out over to commercial fishing boats right there at the Lobster House, it's a really beautiful location. And we've kind of, it's not funny, but we've joked that it kind of became like where we would put benches that weren't exactly dead in life, but weren't exactly beautiful either. So that has kind of an eclectic collection of, yeah. So it'll be nice to finally do justice to that, and I think really a beautiful space. And then, of course, just comment on the bid that we received from Chavone, $5.8 million for the boardwalk preservation. That was a state grant that we were, I think, $6.9 million on a straight state grant. That'll really be a wonderful improvement to our promenade. And we spoke a little bit about it, but, when we're talking about doing the decking outside of Convention Hall, the decking is not in great shape, but especially for weddings and things like that, it really is not in good shape. We'll be replacing the treated lumber with like an epi or a hardwood that will last a long time and really look beautiful. And as many of you know, especially from, say, Convention Hall toward Kiwanis Club, that surface of the promenade really has gotten pretty bad. So to be able to, yes, it will be black unfortunately, just like every asphalt that you see out there, unfortunately. But we will be putting that coating over top of it. And I think after a little while, it starts to blend in much better. So really, and while maybe not exactly perfect for protecting from the ocean, but obviously shoring up some of the concrete and things like that is very important to the sustainability of the community. So it's a great project. So thank you. With that, we'll open it up for public comment. Anyone wishing to speak, please come to the microphone, state your name and address.
Jules Rouse, 1010 New York Avenue. Just a couple of things. Do we have what I'll call event permits? I noticed that one of the taverns is going to have a 3 or 4 day event. They're required to have a permit. So are there requests of the city for an event like they're having? Does that involve our police department, fire department, and EMTs?
If they do, that they reimburse the city for costs based on their, whether it's a not-for-profit or a city-sponsored event, yes.
And do we require that they add the city as co-insured?
Yes,
That's part of that process?
part of that process.
Are we going to put some kind of a blinking light or some other identifying point at the cove? I don't know whether there's any kind of warning system that's going to go there other than the ballards, but it certainly needs to have something.
I don't think there was ever anything there in recent time, so there's no anticipation to have that now.
I would suggest that there be some kind of a lighted piece of equipment or a piece of lighting that would identify that that's a terminal point on Beach Avenue, particularly at night. I mean, I know on the Poverty Beach side, there was actually somebody drove up over top of that concrete wall. So it would be a suggestion. And in line, when do you expect the promenade project to actually start?
We just awarded the resolution this evening. We have to send them a notice to proceed, get some contracts signed, have a pre-construction conference to give them a notice to proceed before we can start discussing a schedule. So within the bid documents, there are timelines that they have to meet. In other words, they'll have a work schedule between when they start and I'll say mid-June, where they'll have to take a break for the summer. Then they'd come back in September, and we anticipate them being done by the year's end.
That was going to be my question. The interruption for the summertime, so they'll basically shut down and protect what they've done and protect the public's interest in the
Yes.
balance of the area?
Yes.
In line with that project, the dunes, in the wintertime particularly, they get a little on the sad side. I'd like to suggest that the city, when the promenade becomes closer to being finished, that we look at dressing up the actual dune itself with either fertilization. I don't know whether we fertilized that in the last few years or not, but maybe adding some additional materials to give that and kind of set off the beach area of the city. That would be a suggestion that I'd have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jules.
Stacy Shan, 928 Columbia. Now that we have the bathrooms right next to Convention Hall, is there a plan to remove those bathrooms on Gurney Street
Yes.
before summertime, I assume?
Probably within the next month, within
Okay,
the next
great.
30 days.
Excellent. My next question has to do with the box that I keep getting promised for the water bills and the taxes that goes by.
You were never promised. You were promised that we would look at it.
No,
but
I
it
think
was never
the
promised.
last meeting you guys promised me. Or-
It didn't come out of my.
Well,
My bad,
it came
so.
out of council because I said, oh, so we're going to put it back? And the answer was, yes, we are. So for those that are listening, don't understand what I'm talking about, there used to be a box right there by the firehouse where people could pull up and put in their water bill and their tax bill, so it wouldn't require them to get out of their car and come in, which for elderly people in this town is a big deal, that they don't have to come into City Hall, especially when the elevator, they would have to enter it from the other side of the building, not from the main side of the building.
Mr. Dietrich, is there a reason why we can't put the box back? I'm just, I mean, is there some legitimate reason why the box couldn't go back?
Just in talking to the tax collector, that there was really very minimal use of the box, and to have that out there to where an employee has to walk across the parking lot to check for every day, because you're not going to want to, to do it for minimal use. I mean, that's what I said. When I talked to the tax collector, she did not really have the, she hasn't had the requests for it to be returned, or did not really have the high usage or really regular usage of that box when it was over there. So she didn't really feel the need to put it back over there.
So I think there's, both of you have a point, right? I think, Stacy, the point, being that there could be someone who is elderly, it's sometimes difficult to get parking, they come down here, they want to pay their bill, et cetera. On the other side of it, I think if we're going to put something in there and it's not being used, then it could.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but we're taking a tax assessor, and she's fairly new, isn't she?
No, I don't know when but she's been the tax collector for.
She's been here maybe 7
Not
years?
assessor,
7 years?
collector.
Collector.
Tax
Oh,
collector.
I'm thinking the assessor.
Yeah,
Assessor,
yeah,
yeah.
you're.
Okay, because it's
the
for the water
collector's
bill and the thing, and I know, during COVID and everything, and it was utilized. So really, she can't walk across the parking lot? We're not asking her to walk down to the post office. This is literally probably right where she parks her car. But that's all right, I'll move on, because obviously this is something that I think Paul has a thing that she doesn't want to put it back, and he's using other excuses. Recycling.
Can I just, real quick, I just want to ask one question on that. Is there anything else we can add to that? I mean, if it was water bill and taxes, would it help make more sense, or not really?
Not really.
The court has their own separate box. We don't want to mix the two. They
No,
have to
no,
keep
no.
separate.
Yeah, yeah.
So other than that, payment-wise.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
My next hot topic has to do with the recycling ordinance. That was urgent and was supposed to be put back on the agenda, and we're now at the end of February, and I haven't seen the recycling ordinance, and that means we're still picking up businesses recycling even though it's against the ordinance. So I'm just wondering, when are we going to be seeing the ordinance for recycling come around again?
I would guess in the next 2 meetings.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else this evening?
Hello, Roz Johnson, 826 Lafayette Street. My question has to do with the Lafayette Park project, and I'm wondering who is environmentally overseeing the changes in the landscaping in the area. Specifically, I'm talking about a pole that's been there for at least 10 years that had an osprey nest on top of it that was removed. So who was responsible for?
Well, that was part of the project, and when our construction is done on the nature trails out in there, we will be relocating it out into the
Oh,
meadow.
that is fantastic. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Oh, that's so exciting. The plight of the osprey is just amazing. I mean, they come from Central America. They fly here about 2,900 miles, and they go back to the same nest. And for that nest not to be there that I've watched for at least 10 years, it gave me joy and it gave me hope. And it was just like when I saw, the male first returning, it was just, it was a wonderful point in my year.
That'll give you a reason to go out on the nature, walk out on the
it's
nature
fine.
trail, and then you'll be able to see it
It's
right out
fine
there.
that I won't be able to see it outside my home. I just wanted to make sure
Yeah,
that it would be someplace where it's not here,
Just,
down.
it'll be right out on Cape Island Creek.
Oh, that's very happy. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Absolutely.
I guess saying that also, do we use the abundance of natural advocacy groups in Cape May when we do projects? In other words, do we ever consult the Conservancy or the Audubon Society or anything like that? That, I'm just
I
wondering.
mean,
Work with the
we work with the Environmental Commission and our shade tree, as far as if you're talking about selecting plant products and stuff like that. So, we've had, on our Environmental Commission, we've had a representative from the Audubon, Gretchen, has been on the Environmental Commission for years, and still, even though she's retired, she still sits on the Environmental Commission. So, we occasionally will show them our plans that we're doing for projects and
Okay.
get their
I'll
input.
give you a good,
conserv-
I'll give you a good example from the Lafayette Street Park. Part of it's tree planting. So that list of trees, which the engineer presented to the city, and I think actually did a pretty nice job, but we will present those before the trees get planted to both the Environmental Commission and, of course, Shade Tree Commission for their consideration too. I mean,
Okay.
that's a small example, but
Yeah.
they'll look at it.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
For
And
Harbor-
the Conservancy, you ever get the Conservancy in there to,
Typically not.
not, okay.
I mean, we deal with our internal, we have an Environmental Commission and a Shade Tree Commission because they're the ones that do that advocacy for us, and we utilize them.
Okay. Maureen, were you going to say something?
I was just going to mention that as part of the Harborview.
Deputy Mayor. Thank you.
As part of the Harborview project, we will be one of the individuals who works with Vince Orlando, who did the planning. She's a landscape architect, so she's very tuned into plant indigenous,
that's wonderful.
yeah, drought and et cetera. And, we've had some conversations with Gretchen for the environmental, so we will have a plan that will be attentive to that. So I think that
Oh,
that's
that's
something
great,
to come.
because we have so many knowledgeable people in the area about these things that can always, help us with these things. Just one other thing, I was thinking about what Mr. Roush was saying about the dust in the air, and could the construction people ever, like, put up a tent sign when they're doing that says something like harmful contaminants might be exposed in the air? I say that because, like, for example, if I was walking down the street and I saw a tent sign that would say that, I might, avoid that area. Or if I was walking my grandson in a stroller, and I saw a tent sign that would say that, I might avoid that area. Or if I lived next door, maybe I wouldn't have my child play outside that day or something like that. Is that a possibility, or is that just a thought?
We could, but what you're going to do is you just got the contractor, he's going to put it up there.
Yeah,
He's going to put it, no, he's going to put it up at the start of the project, and it's going to stay up until the end of the project. And so it's not going to come up today and then down tomorrow, up today, tomorrow,
But it might be useful information, whether it's one day or,
but I'm saying that it's not going to come up to the contractor's not going to put it up with any frequency. He's going to put it up at the beginning of the project, and it's going to stay static, and you're going to see the same sign there every day for however long the project is.
Whether or not he's doing it.
Whether or not he's doing the work
Oh,
or
okay.
not,
okay. Okay,
it's not.
all right.
It's, I mean,
be-
but this is, the reason for the ordinance is exactly those concerns. I mean, not only airborne, but frankly, microplastics, and maybe not micro, but small plastics that end up in the water, because typically, the old school way was just to cut these things, and
Right.
and wherever it ends up, it ends up. And that's, we're learning more and more how, dangerous and unhealthy that can be. So the reason for this ordinance is to try to capture as much as we possibly can.
Right.
I think as new technologies advance, this will be something that we continue to look at.
And Mayor?
Thank you. Thanks for
Just,
making.
just because we heard tonight about people doing this in the street, I think that there are certain things that we should look at as a council. You know, how do we control that? What do we, you know, what does that look like? And maybe incorporate that. But we can revise this ordinance the way it's written currently to incorporate some of these ideas that are coming from the public.
Right, because I kind of think that the construction company probably shouldn't have the last say in this. It should be the health and safety of the community instead of what is inconvenient for a construction company to do. Thanks for making my day, though. Thank you.
Thank you, Roz. Anyone else? Sir?
Hi, good evening. My name is John Quarterman, 2809 Dune Drive, Avalon. I'm with the Thailands Initiative. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. For the last 2 years, I have about 1,000 hours cleaning up the wetlands of South Jersey. I've worked everywhere from Cape May to LBI, but most of our focus is in Cape May County.
I've seen your videos, by the way. You do a really nice job.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Anyone who doesn't know, which probably most people, you voluntarily go around and clean up our wetlands and do a lot of work, so thank you.
Nice, thanks. The Thailands Initiative, our goal is to restore, preserve, and protect. And I'm here today to talk to you about protection. One of the areas I've worked hundreds of hours on is Avalon Boulevard. And after 2 years and hundreds of hours, it looks pretty much worse than the day I started. So what's causing this? Roll-up dumpsters. These companies, they fear no repercussion from local law enforcement, which has developed into a disturbing culture and an attitude that is ruining our environment. I've documented the situation now for the last 4 months. I have video of trucks leaving every shore community in Cape May County, including Cape May. What I find most disturbing kind of about Cape May's videos are that the dumps in Woodbine, so they have to run them all the way up the Parkway. So they're like 17 minutes long of trash flying out the back. I'm here today to beg you to adopt Avalon's new ordinance pertaining to roll-up dumpster coverage while in transit. I think making some sensible changes now can have a huge positive environmental impact in the future, and we can separate ourselves from other counties and the rest of the state. Just to be clear, there is a company that does exactly what I ask. They've always done it. I've never had to ask them. This is all I'm asking. If I could just present this to you.
Please, go ahead, sure.
This company is called Rodeas.
Yep, familiar with the name.
You ask Thailand to do anything?
Yeah, we know it, yeah.
That's the only company that does anything. I have a couple copies of Avalon's ordinance. Bring this up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say Councilman Bodnar has already taken the initiative on this, and I'll let him speak to it, but we are already,
I've worked in the county, in Cape May. Well, basically, I have a lot of time.
Stay on the mic.
stay on the mic, yeah. So it can be shared with the public.
Yeah, I have a lot of time over at, I guess, the Garrett Nature Preserve. I'm not sure if that's actual Cape May. And all around the railroad tracks. The railroad tracks are like, man, well, a lot of what I collect is basically storm debris from the last 60 years. So I've noticed in Cape May, it seems like a ton of debris from Gloria, believe it or not. There's also a boat in the creek back there. But, eventually one day I'd like to really get everything cleaned up, I guess, from where you can rent the train the roller coaster,
Oh, the pedal
the
cars.
tracks,
Yeah. mhm,
all the way
yeah.
up to the Garrett Preserve and all through there. So that's my goal. But yeah, I just wanted to come in here tonight, pass this along.
Well, I'd like for us to give you feedback on, actually, your request. So
Yeah,
Councilman
so,
Bodnar
to
has.
steal a line from a movie, you had me at hello. So, yeah, look, what Avalon is doing, read about it and got on our radar. So I spoke with Mr. Gillen Schwartz. He got a copy of the Avalon ordinance and is working on tailoring that same ordinance for Cape May.
Fantastic.
So we're in the process of working on that. I know all of council is aware of that and that we're, I guess it's just not quite ready for, to be out at this point in time, but it's, as I said.
But it's on your
something
radar.
that, it came up. It makes an awful lot of sense. I think it made an awful lot of sense to me. I think it resonates with everybody. I'll speak for myself, but I think it resonates with the community as
appreciate
well, and it just seems to make an awful lot of sense. So,
Well, thank you. Yeah, because I've been going around. I got Avalon, Stone Harbor. I'm not sure about Sea Isle.
Well, it's a no-brainer. We already require dumpsters to be covered
Yep.
while stationary.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, well, again, too, it's like, yeah, I don't want to get into like how you guys live in your town. As tonight you can see, the environment is it's an endless rabbit hole. Especially with the microplastics and all that. So I feel as though 20, 30 years from now, all this stuff's going to be viewed the same as asbestos. So, but it is what it is. I appreciate your time and your forward thinking on this issue. So thank you.
Yeah, stay
thank you
tuned.
for your volunteerism.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you for your
thank you.
efforts.
Thank you.
Anyone else this evening? Seeing none, motion to close, motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
All right. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you.
Time is
And
6:09.
Mr. Baldini, thank you very much. We appreciate you being here. Thank you.